Synth.
Welcome, guys, to another round of Forever Synth Meets. Myself and Rob over there are joined by Jonny Dreamshaw, who's joining us from Miami. How you doing, man? You all right?
What's going on, man? Everything's good. How about yourself?
Very good, considering.
Yeah. We're not in Miami. You know, we're in London, so things aren't quite as good. But we're adapting to things. I mean, sometimes these chats we wish we wish they were a bit easier, but sometimes the tech gremlins get in the way. But we're kind of getting used to it, and we're just.
I'm quite liking these videos.
Yeah, and we've had some good guests, and obviously I spoke to you on Instagram Live a few weeks ago, but it seemed only fair that we return the favour. So we've obviously got you on.
I'm sure.
I'm going to ask you, and we're going to drill little holes into your skull.
Yep.
And really get to the bottom. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Yeah. Let's go ahead. Let's do it.
So obviously, being in Miami now. Social distancing in London is great because it means you don't have to go out in London, which is sometimes quite a good thing.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. But in Miami, how hard has it been? Because I'm guessing they closed the beaches and things, or did they stay open? I mean, what's been going on in Florida? Has it been the same as Georgia and Tennessee, or because I know the states have been doing things differently from one another, haven't
they? They have. They definitely have. A lot has changed in the sense of. When it comes to the social distancing side of things, there's a lot of people still wandering around for their, just not everybody could stay in their house for such a long period of time. It's just something that people are not used to, especially in the situation that we're currently in. But I mean, more or less, I think it's been good. More to a point where I think people are starting to feel like, well, I guess a lot of people are willing to keep their distances, but at the same time take the chance to go out. Even though it's been a thing where people are trying to remain indoors, but there's a large amount of people that want to go out. I suppose law enforcement has. Go ahead.
I was going to say, to have such a big city right there on the beach, it must be pretty hard. I imagine places like Barcelona are probably suffering the same sort of fate because the first thing people do in Miami, I'm guessing, is go to the beach. I mean, it seems like an almost daily occurrence. Or is that just from a Londoner's perspective, do you think?
Watch too many 80s movies.
Well, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, a lot of the businesses are coming back. They're starting to open, but they're just very strict on how many people they have in their stores as far as the beach is concerned. There's still very few that go out and they walk. They haven't really, I don't think they've, in Miami Beach specifically, they've locked that area down. There's some places up north of the let's say Hollywood section. It's a little bit more up north from Miami Beach that they've allowed people to enter the property, but only a fair amount.
Okay.
But also a small amount. There's still people wandering around with or without mask. It's just sort of like a situation where people are sort of taking it seriously. They're aware of the situation, but they believe the majority are not really that. They don't really think they're gonna get it. I'm, to be honest with you, I have my own opinions. Obviously, playing it safe. I'm required to wear a mask where I work, so it's irrelevant in my point. In my case.
I think it's pretty similar here in London, isn't it, Rob? People such as ourselves, we sometimes apparently won't even know you've got it. The symptoms can be so mild. So, people have almost got that attitude that, well, I'm not going to get it. Well, actually, but you might have it, and then you'll pass it on to, a 17-year-old or whatever. And
big message, right?
It is, yeah.
But I mean, the kids have had it, and kids haven't had it too bad, and then they're getting this secondary mad thing where they get a rash and a toxic shock syndrome type of thing. So I don't want to take any risks, really. They're talking about here in the UK sending schools, reception and first year pupils in year 6. I don't know what that is in American money. It's like the people that are about to start secondary school, about to start high school, I guess.
Yeah, so what do you call it? Free? Not. Oh no, wait. I'm thinking of secondary school. What was the word? Begins with
middle school, maybe.
Middle school, I guess.
Talking about sending
Middle
those
school,
kids back, and kids my kids' age back about 5 years old, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, unless they were going to be in PPE equipment, but I've seen pictures from France where they're all in chalk circles. They're allowed to dance in their chalk circles, and they can't interact with their friends, and it seems risky, man.
Yeah. But throughout all of this sort of strife and lockdown and everything, you've obviously been one of the beacons of light throughout with these little Instagram live vids that you've been doing. Now, was that something that, you know, pretty much from when the lockdown started, you thought, I'm going to do this, or was this something you'd been wanting to do for a while? What was the thing behind it? What was it you were looking to achieve?
Well, I realized that I'm not going to be playing shows anytime soon or going out to festivals or shows or anything like that within this following year. So I figured, all right, why not take advantage of the IG story video and see if I can go ahead and start communicating with all these other artists. And so I figured it was a good way to just catch up or communicate with artists that I've never really interacted with before, or if I have in the past, and just build some sort of little conversation going with many different topics, except the global situation. But you know what I'm saying? It was just more like just to build conversation and catch up with a lot of other people that I feel like I've known, but never really had the chance to have a face-to-face conversation. So I figured a video was a good way to do that.
100%. Have you had
their eyes?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Have you had any? I'm not going to ask you to choose, you know, a favorite guest, but have you had like a real standout moment where you kind of perhaps had an opinion on an artist from the scene, or not necessarily an artist, but, you know, an influencer or just a sheer fan of synthwave, someone that's turned out to be completely not what you thought they were? Now, I know you can't always judge someone over a video, you know, through nuances and hand gestures and things. You know, you can't always do that, but is there anyone that's absolutely encapsulated you in a way that you didn't think was going to happen?
Actually, my most interesting conversation was with Thought Beings and Josh, actually, Josh Daly, because I never really, I've always heard good things about Josh, and I've listened to his stuff since the first song that he did with Time Cop, which was Let's Talk, and that's how I discovered him. So I figured having this conversation with him on video was sort of like, it was unexpected, because I didn't know he would be willing to do that and have any interest of having just a casual conversation through IG Live. So it was captivating. It was great talking to him and Thought Beings, even though he didn't really show his face. He was just using more of a visualizer to show his
mysterious,
I suppose,
man.
to hide his identity, kind of like Mitch Murder.
Ghost. That's cool.
Yeah, but no, it was great. It was great because you know, we stay in touch now ever since that video chat, and I feel like it was a good way to remain in contact with those guys that now they've heard you in the past. You know who they are. They know you in a sense, and sort of just this back to back casual communication.
Yeah. Look at that, Rob. He's just name dropping, just casually talks to Josh Daly now.
To Josh Daly every day. Yeah, it's like.
What do you make of that?
It's very impressive. I like the casual name drop there. The big clang 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 clang. Me and Ollie. That's the Michael Oakley.
Yeah.
No, it's very good. I mean, how regular are these things? I know you've spoken to Joe in the past. Are they
and Marilyn. He did one with Marilyn as well.
And Marilyn as well. Yeah. What and can I see them anywhere? Because I feel like I've missed a load of great ones, like with Josh Daly. Or did they just go in Instagram and then disappear again out into the ether?
Well, I recorded them. I saved them. I have them on files, so I'll definitely
upload them.
To you.
Yeah,
I'm working on it. Just trying to figure out what would be the best way to use them towards whether it be video or for something else. I'm not too sure yet.
What would be a really cool video is if you could make the lyrics to a song and then go through the conversations, find that lyric, and then the video is just each person from that video saying that lyric.
Yeah, okay.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, sure. I'll take that into consideration.
If you've got 12 years to sit through all that sort of stuff, that sounds actually like a bit of a project. Yeah. Crazy. So
I'm up for a challenge.
Yeah, and that's it. I think we were just speaking with Michael locally, and he's very much in that sort of mindset as well when it comes to music as well, not just obviously videos and whatnot. That I mean, in fact, it's probably a good question to put to you. Are you someone that would say they've reached the kind of aims and desires that they had, say, 5 years ago, or are you constantly trying to push through the ceiling that you've set for yourself? Like, rather than have a target, change your view, not necessarily build on what you've done before, and actually go in different directions. Are you that kind of person, or are you very much a kind of a linear journeyman?
Well, 5 years ago, I wasn't as active or as communicative as I am now. It was more like something that I was just starting to get my foot into this whole scene itself. So only recently have I really been more active in the sense of communicating with people through social media and such. So I would say it's been a big change and a big step for me as far as my growth and understanding and overall my well-being of a musician and learning how to be more communicative just by trial and error. And I just learned along the way. So it's helped me tremendously, I would say.
You seem quite a modest man, a thoughtful guy. So it is really interesting that you've chosen to use quite a visual medium to pull these things out. I would say Ed, Sunglasses Kid, he is an animated character, but he stays a lot behind the scenes, and I've enjoyed what he's done on his Instagram live videos as well. So it's like rich and varied content. I think it's all really cool, man. In terms of like, I mean, you're a dream waves kind of pop synth type of dude. Who were the first influences? Were you one of the first wave? I mean, or who were you listening to that got you into this?
Well, I first discovered this during 2013. Didn't really have any understanding or knowledge towards this music scene to begin with. And during that time, I was in several different bands, so I didn't really dedicate much time into being in this whole synthwave community. I was in a combination between doing rock, metal, and then a band doing like chill wave, like sort of like washed out neon Indian type of sound.
Oh yes.
And so within those years, I started to discover other artists. And this is probably quite common when you ask this the majority of the people. But in my case, it was more like I was having a hard time trying to figure out what I wanted to create when it came to electronic music. And I had many different types of styles that I've tried. And then all of a sudden, when I discovered this, I felt like, okay, I think I'm more capable of trying this out and actually succeeding in creating something that I think would be satisfying to not only my ears, but perhaps to other people online.
Which is again one of those approaches that perhaps, again, I'm not going to sort of name any particular artist in the scene, but sometimes you hear quite a lot. Dangerous. It's quite. I
really think the work of X is crap.
I just think sometimes, and again, I'm not a musician, so perhaps my outlook is just maybe too negative and just not positive. But quite often, some artists are jumping before they can walk. I think they're possibly trying to do something that they hear and they think they can comprehend, and they like it, but they're not. Their fingers and their mind can't quite match up that same level of.
So I think I know who Joe's talking about.
Whereas actually, it's not one particular artist, and the thing is, all we do, Rob, is play music. We literally don't do anything for the scene. Like, if anything, we're the lazy guys. So
we
really,
are leeches.
Yeah, but
parasites.
But it shows. You can sometimes see perhaps where someone's trying to do too much in, say, an album or even an EP or even sometimes a track. You think it's just too much going on here. Start with what you know, and then begin to get the base, the foundations. And when I listen to your stuff, Jonny, like I would say that pretty much from the off, pretty much like Hot Minute Rob, who we interviewed the other night. Like you've pretty much got it right from the off. To me.
It feels studied and everything is considered. Are we right?
Throughout the years when I released my first EP to now, yes, there's been a lot of progress into learning how I should create my music production of each and every track. Yeah, I just, like I said, I've learned along the way, and as you could hear when you hear the releases, they're not really the same. It's more like specific styles that still relate towards the main genre category, and so it's just a lot of just me trying to figure out what I wanted to do during that specific time of that release.
Some of the vocal stuff reminds me a bit of User, actually. We've had on the show once, almost twice, except COVID. So yeah, you can tell that you've been songwriting, and that you've been in proper bands and proper songwriting, and you know how to compose a song, and you're not just, you know, mucking about talking about DeLoreans. And it's like you're not talking about. It's a bit like we're talking with Michael. That there's the duplicators, and then there's the originators, and then there's the people that know how melody works and how lyrics work and how songwriting works, and then there's people that just like, I got a patch here. Just do a bit. Okay, it's released. It's up on Bandcamp. Go buy it. And those promoters and self-promoters, like, it's not a surprise how kind of modest you seem to be, and the fact that your music is of a better quality, arguably, than some. So it's always the quiet ones you got to watch, Joe.
Not just in synthwave either.
I'll send an SOS to the world. I hope that someone gets my. I hope that someone gets my. I hope that someone gets my message in a bottle, yeah. Message in a bottle, whoa. Sending out an SOS. Sending out an SOS. I'm sending out an SOS. I'm sending out an SOS. Sending out an SOS. Sending out an SOS.
Speaking of singles, I mean, I don't know if it is a single or anything yet. The cover you did of "Message in a Bottle" by the Police. Now, it's not
Hang
on
on.
Spotify. It's on SoundCloud. What's
on
happened?
the
'Cause I think it
Bandcamps.
was. I think it was on Spotify briefly, and now it's not. Are we going to see it back on Spotify? Because I want to add it to my
Yeah.
list, man. I want to add it to my list.
Yeah, it'll be back. It's just I've been having some issues with uploading it. I made a mistake by not. Apparently, I didn't know that with the distributor that I use, I didn't know you can add both names towards towards my name and another artist as a whole as a collaborative song. So that's where I made the
It's
mistake.
Primo the
So
Alien
now-
and Time Cop all over again.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, but I didn't. I was unfamiliar. Not. I mean, we've came to an agreement as far as, let's say, numbers are concerned, as an example. But the thing is that I made the mistake of not knowing that it was only going to be in my profile, not on the other individuals, Midnight Lovers profile. So I explained to him,
Right.
we should let's give ourselves another week, and then let's see if we can bring it back. Because if anything, we might have to try an alternative. But it'll be back. It'll be back on
Good.
Spotify. Absolutely. I'll keep you updated about that.
Please do.
Joe, you can buy it for $1 on Bandcamp.
But
Put it on
that's
the
right.
show.
But I'm listening to Spotify as I'm going along, and it's not on my Spotify. So that's just
Fair enough.
You know, it's a requirement in life now. I used to be quite against Spotify, but now, like everything, like at first Netflix, the idea of sitting indoors just going through TV series, it's the new norm. And Spotify now, do I listen to music anywhere else?
It's bad, isn't it? I'm a Google
not
Play
really.
Music. My catalogue is building, because whenever I download anything off Bandcamp, I stick it into my Google Music catalogue.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's
That's
an
a good idea.
alternative solution. Then you're supporting the artist, Joe. You know.
Hey! Bandcamp Day, May the 1st.
You went crazy.
I spent, well, I wouldn't say a huge amount. Not like,
£37.
I think it was about 41 in the end.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, it's not a huge sum. It's not like Jules Neal Fawkes and who
Bankrupts
absolutely-
himself every time.
Yeah. But did you find yourself getting a few purchases on? Because I purchased actually a couple of the tracks on Bandcamp Day, including the Dreamwave Dave remix of was it Runaways? What's the name of the track?
Yeah,
Runaways?
one of the
Yeah.
first singles, Runaway.
That's it. And I mentioned it obviously in the Instagram live chat we did. Now the song itself is great, and this isn't taking anything away from what your original piece. But that Dreamwave Dave remix is so crisp.
No, yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And it must feel good that, I'm guessing obviously you put the request out for artists to remix, but do you ever get artists coming to you asking, can I remix your track?
I have several, and I've you hear it, you think to yourself, what should I say to this guy? How should I say it? And sometimes the majority of the time it's just like, look, I like it, but I'm not releasing this.
Oh,
that's
God, just like
usually
that.
my case.
One sentence.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna. I
I'm
don't want
flattered,
to say who or
but it's
what.
bollocks.
But I'll be honest with you, it's just I've had a couple. I had a couple like that in the past. Some that are not in the scene, some that are in the scene.
And that man turned out to be Paul Young. Yeah.
I'd love to hear a Paul Young remix of Dreamville. Yes. Frankie Goes to Hollywood remix.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. That'd be awesome. So yeah, what was why that song? I mean, I'm guessing Midnight Lovers came to you for it, or did you know you wanted to
Message
sing
in the
it?
Bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came to me actually. He showed me the instrumental, and I was like, yeah, let's finish it. Let's work on this song, and I liked it. I'm a big fan of the Police as well.
I think are you a fan, Rob? You strike me as someone that probably thinks they're okay at best.
We're working with each other for a long time. Yeah, I don't know. You always say I'm very ancient. I'm going to be 42 this year. So
Wow.
even Police even passed me by a little bit because I was very young when they were releasing, the big hits.
Because I think wasn't it actually technically 1979 that or something? Was it actually
so I was
an 80s
only
song?
one.
Oh.
A Message in a Bottle. Yeah,
No. Every Breath You Take, I think, is a lot older than people think.
That's very early 80s, I think. 82, 83 maybe.
Yeah.
But no, I don't mind the Police. Yeah, very much so. I thought Sting did a lovely turn in the film Dune by David Lynch.
Reference. Just so you throw it in there. What's your? Are you someone that actually gets his influences from the 80s, Jonny, or would you actually say you're listening to other people's work in synthwave more?
Both.
Okay.
Both, because there's a combination of those two where I like to go ahead and look up new bands that I've never heard of in the synthwave community and see what I can get out of as far as production is concerned. But also a lot of it comes from just listening to a lot of music from within 80s and 90s and today. So a little bit of both, let's just say.
Yeah. I've been finding quite a lot. I don't know if you both are the same. I listen to my Spotify Discover thing, and I'll hear a song, and I'll be like, oh, that's that band, and like, okay, so that's another song of them I like, and yet I've got like 5 or 6 tracks. They're called Mint Royale. I don't know if you know Mint Royale.
I remember.
Yeah,
Some big hits in the 90s.
Yeah, and yet I still haven't bothered to actually go and listen to their catalogue, and yet based on prior experience, it's probably going to be quite good. Have you two got an artist like that you keep getting a little morsel of a new track that you end up liking, and yet you still don't get up with your backside and really look into them?
What about you, Jonny? For me, it was Michelle Benjamin. It took me ages to get into Cave Boy, and I really love Cave Boy now. But Michelle Benjamin had done that thing with Dave, All the Damn Vampires, and Earthshifter, and I was like, I really love this vocalist. Really making some great synthwave tunes. And I was like, oh, she's got her own band. Yeah. But I really love this one, and now, I super love Cave Boy. But that's a modern example.
What about you, Jonny?
Well, if we were to come out of the synthwave category, I mean, I do like a lot of alternative rock music as well, and experimental electronic music. Like I don't know if you guys ever heard of Mute Math.
Not sure.
No, I can't say I have.
Well, no, just they've experimented for quite a long time with many different genres, but still within the rock elements and electronic elements. And it's I've listened to them since I was in 5th grade, and seeing them progress now and seeing where they are today, it's just like, well, it's crazy because when you're a kid and you jam out to these bands, and then when you get older, you start to realize, wow, they're still around. You're doing something that relates towards what they're doing. It's just sort of this nostalgic moment for you, where it just gives you that sense of good feel, like a good memory feeling of just like, well, I've discovered this. I've been a fan ever since, and who knows, maybe this could be more towards what I would like to do with that particular artist, or vice versa. You know what I mean?
I think there's a lot of 70-year-olds out there that are probably thinking that about the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Oh, they're still going. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Under the Bridge. Yes, I was a child when that came out. So I was a teenager. I really like the Motion Epic, man. They remind me of an old.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know if I should say his name, but yeah, he's we're buddies on Facebook. We've talked every now and then, and wanted to see if we could. We do a sorry about that. a collaboration in the future,
Yes,
which
do it.
well, we'll see. We've been talking a lot about it. Right now he's in his own, he's been busy doing his own thing as far as his moving arrangements and such, but once he's done, he said he would definitely could get back to me to see what we do.
Man, I think a collab between you guys would be
Yeah.
freaking good. Very, very good indeed. Yeah.
Just
I
good.
got a really good
There's better
feeling, I
words than
think.
good, Rob. There's better words than good. Brilliant.
Frickin'
Wonderful. Magnificent.
Good enough.
Really ace. Really ace and wicked.
So, if Motion Epic's doing his thing, what's your thing? What's your routine of late? What was your routine before lockdown, and what was your routine? What is your routine now?
Work, music. Now it's just more work and some music. So
What's work? You said you had to wear
yeah,
PPE at work. You a frontliner. Do we clap for you every Thursday night at 8 p.m.?
wait, come again?
In the
he's not
UK,
aware.
we're clapping for the carers Thursday night at 8 p.m. So
Every
because you wear
week.
PPE for work, I'm thinking you must be quite a frontliner. You out there saving lives?
I guess for something like that. Or trying to prevent people from going to certain locations to spread this virus itself.
Ooh, okay.
But yeah, I work in law enforcement, but as a site supervisor for a well-known security company.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Think
think of me as that mall cop. You know, like that movie Mall Cop.
Paul Blart. Paul Blart with Kevin James.
There
yeah.
you go. But Paul Blart, yeah.
I mean,
Paul Blart. There you go.
I'm
Think
seeing
of me
it
as
now.
that guy.
Although I must admit, there's a much funnier version of that film called Observe and Report with Seth Rogen. I don't know if you've
I haven't
seen.
seen that.
Yeah,
Honest to God,
I did
it's
see
so funny. It's definitely. I think Paul Blart is like your PG sort of 12 rated kind of film, but Observe and Report
Exactly.
is just a more R-rated
Straight up
version.
rated R.
And honestly, God, if you haven't seen it, Rob, you have to see Observe and Report.
Seth Rogen does make a funny movie for sure, and they always go just ridiculous and over the top. And now I'm always going to think of Johnny Land. Yeah. I want to see Johnny Land's movie.
So, Rob, we're obviously fans of live music,
We are.
but we're not getting it. What's your take on the lack? I mean, obviously, it's not your fault. It's not the scene's fault. It's not the world's fault. Well, actually, it might be the world's fault. We don't know that yet.
No.
What do you think is going to happen, synthwave wise? Do you think it's in a position to cope with any kind of future changes with live performances? Like, for instance, venues might be harder to come by because they might be,
Gone.
put to one side. Yeah, they might effectively be gone, or they'll be snapped up by your Dolly Partons and your Chris Martins.
Oh, Chris Martin.
Do you think synthwave is going to suffer perhaps next year if things get back to normal, or do you think it will find a way to? It will find there's little dungeons, the little basements and things to start to
Speakeasies.
Yeah.
Anybody will soon move through that door.
You always want to be positive about situations like this. You always want to hope that things improve over time, maybe sooner than later. But if we're going to be realistic about this whole situation, I would say, well, quite honestly, one
We're
can only
fucked.
hope how things will turn out within. Well, I don't want to say that, but what I want to say is that, look, things only get worse before they get better. And this is a mystery. This is a complete mystery. But I think everybody now is active more than ever on the online side of things, which has given the community a sense of understanding that, look, we're still here. We're all present. We're all doing the best we can. And I think that's how it should be. And that's how we should continue on with this crazy predicament that we're all dealing with here. And we should really just, more importantly, be more communicative with each other. That was the main reason why I did the IG live video thing, because I felt like there was a lack of communication. I figured in my end that I felt like I needed to come in and to go right ahead and start chatting with those I never really had the opportunity to begin talking to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I think that's right, man. We applaud that, don't we? Because I've seen more faces of people, be it in Instas and live interviews and stuff, and all the gigs that we've seen. There's been something. There seems to be a streaming festival every Saturday night, man. It's brilliant. I've never seen so much synthwave, and that's been one bonus. We might not be making out to physical gigs, but I wouldn't have been able to go and see half of these people perform live, and it's given a voice to the voiceless to some degree. Will you be doing some streaming as Dream Shore? Will you be doing some live performances that we can tune into on Twitch? I hear the kids like Twitch.
Well, we'll see. I haven't really thought about exactly how I want to do it, what my or how I would present myself when it comes to performing, especially with a video stream. But we'll see. I'm actually having a meeting tonight with my manager to see what we can do as far as that particular topic is concerned. Plus all these other music releases that we need to continue on discussing about, and further on in the future for next year as well.
God, another bit of a name drop there. Just get my manager to do it all for me. We haven't got that luxury, have we, Rob? Got to do it all ourselves.
We're our own producers, writers.
Although we should say now, Marilyn, Morgan, Danielle, and Jack all do wonderful jobs for us. We should put that out there. So
heroes, we wouldn't be able to do half the stuff we can. The fact that this is going to get a proper edit by a professional person.
Yeah. Well, we're not paying him, so he's not that professional.
Well, he's volunteering. He's
professional enough.
Don't charge us.
Well, very true. Yeah, his work quality is certainly improving. So better keep tabs. Do you? I noticed, obviously, looking through your catalogue on Spotify, that you're yet, certainly in synthwave. That doesn't mean to say you haven't done with your alternative rock acts in the past. Are we going to see a Dream Shore album, or do you think you're an EP singles kind of guy? Because I mean,
where's the album?
Gives you the chance to release things, I suppose, more frequently, perhaps. Oh, it's disappeared.
Oh, you were so fed up with that question.
I think something happened.
Oh,
wait! I think something happened.
Oh no! Hang on. Let's all do it.
Yeah.
Let's all do it. There we go.
Oh my god!
It's like a roller coaster. Oh, I feel sick.
6.9 on the Richter scale. That was nuts.
Broke my leg.
Can you guys see me?
Oh, yes. No. Yes.
No, you've
What about
disappeared.
now?
Epilepsy.
What about now?
There we go. Yeah.
All right.
There we go. All good.
and singing now. I feel the light as I start to smile and reminisce.
What the heck did I ask? Oh, albums. Are we going to
who's the
see a
album?
Dream Shot album, or are you an EP single kind of guy? Like, is that going to be you?
I think I've released enough singles for this following year and last year, and I figured now would be a good time to go ahead and just release the debut. As far as when, I did say to Maryland, I believe was during July, but that might have to be pushed up due to the fact that I think it needs more time as far as the release is concerned, and a lot of other artists I think will be releasing albums during that time frame. So, just to give other people some space and to give us the chance to have more people to hear the release within a certain time frame, we're just going to play it, by ear how things turn out in the next upcoming months. So I would say potentially the fall.
And is it self-produced? Or will you be producing it yourself, or will there be guests?
I've 99% of it, I've produced it myself, and with the assistance of a couple other producers who's giving me suggestions, also features like Neon Technic, and there will be, I haven't announced it yet, but I might as well just say it here. There will be a
Exclusive.
an EP of remixes done by Turbo Knight, Neon Technic, Robots with Ray Guns, and Dilemma Machine, who've all taken
clang.
Yeah.
who's all taken the time to remix Reminisce, which will be out on June 19th. I was about to say July.
June 19th, so a month to go.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I can't wait. Take my money.
It must feel pretty cool to just be able to collaborate with artists. And that certainly seems to be something that's very different about this scene compared to other music genres. Now, admittedly, a lot of it can obviously be done on this here laptop that I'm working on. If a band, with a massive drum kit, I mean, imagine, for instance, Player One with their massive drum kit and kind of emo-y punk rock sound would probably struggle, I think. I mean, they have done a couple of collabs, I think, with Kinney Lane, I think they did one, but that's obviously just on lyrics. But in a music and percussion and synth term, the fact that it's easy to do, there must be a lot of competition, but you seem to be, you've got some pretty good names coming through on some of these collabs, man. It must feel good.
I've learned a lot from the decisions that I made last year to now, as far as who I should consider and know what my options are, and not settle. It's more like not settle for less and try to progress in a sense where I knew for a fact that with the remixes and collaborations nowadays, of how vital that can be, especially in a music community like this one, I figured I needed to rethink and reevaluate what I wanted to do as far as provide a fair enough impact towards what I provide on the table for this following year compared to what I did from last year.
Have you got a bit of a Robert De Niro's "I got my eye on you, fucker" circle of trust? Have you got some, I mean, you don't have to name them, but have you got, some artists and individuals that it doesn't mean more people can enter can't enter the circle of trust, but you've got that kind
social
of
bubble.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, that's not to mean that the circle doesn't change. People can exit it, people can enter it, because sometimes artists don't always work well together, and it's like everything. We're not friends with everyone for the entirety of our lives, and something tells me it's probably the same with collabs. Sometimes people fall out. It's quite some obvious examples. So I'm not going to name it.
Yeah, but yes, that's another thing. There's so many of artists I've discovered from the past couple of years, and I hardly talk to almost none of them now. But it's sort of like everybody has their own clique. Everybody communicates with those who for whatever reason, everybody decides to speak to whoever they want to speak to. Just like the Midnight talks to the FM84, just like Time Cop talks to Ollie and all these other guys within that range of notoriety. Clicks, exactly. That's just the reality of things, because they trust each other in that sense. I would say, in my opinion, the way I view it. So it's kind of like the way I'm doing it now is that it's kind of like that now, because I feel like I've seen plenty of artists within this music community where they come and they go. They liked, everybody has their personality. You know, there's also culture clashes. That's inevitable in a sense. So I've learned a lot from last year compared to now, and been a lot more cautious and more, I guess you could say, to myself, in a sense of knowing who I would like to communicate more than versus another individual. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Be smart.
You found your people.
Yeah, and that was one of those things where I knew I wanted to get a manager, and I was fortunate enough to talk to a person that believed in what I do, and had the same feeling, had the same idea, and this was the main thing that I was really trying to stress onto him, that this is something that I really need to make sure that we keep as a clear, there's a clear path, and there's nothing that interferes with it. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's. I mean, again, it's quite difficult to comprehend. You know, I think as a non-musician, I don't know about you, Rob.
I've produced many albums.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's like a mentor, right? Like a bunch of people that you trust, people that can get you on the straight and narrow and give you a sense of direction.
Because it's different for
there's
us.
There's so many. That's why, and that's the thing. It could be overwhelming. I overwhelmed myself a couple of years back. So now that I've calmed down, I've kept things more compressed and to a more bare minimum. It made things a lot easier for me to work on what I do and focus more on what I feel is more of a priority, in the sense of, in the case like this, communication, like I said, with specific individuals.
I get that. I mean, Joe, like, there's somebody that you and I can think of that pumps stuff out without a mentor, without maybe the direction.
Can't think of anyone.
that just, it produces a lot of material and it's great, but you want somebody to be there on their shoulder saying, yeah, don't release that.
In that exact way.
Nah. Work on this, or take your time, or think about this, or hone this in a way that's more palatable, or whatever. Not necessarily like a commercial, but just be more thoughtful. Like we keep coming back to, you seem like a, do you meditate, Jonny? You seem like a guy who, has a spiritual cause.
A zen kind of guy.
Yeah.
Every now and then during the week when I'm off, it's something that I really try to take I try to put it as a priority of as much as I can with the life that I have. And I'm sure this can be for everybody else, especially now, to always take the time to focus on yourself and to always remain calm.
You sound like Benny from Neon Arcadia.
I was about to say, very similar to Benny from Neon Arcadia.
Yeah.
Very like,
yeah, I've heard of him.
Calm and zen.
Benny from Neon Arcadia, is it?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
That's it. And that's perhaps, and again, it's not just synthwave. Sometimes we're too busy looking at other people and concentrating on other things that we just forget about ourselves. But then again, you as a parent, Rob, I mean, you pretty much have to put yourself last. I mean, that's just the way of the world.
First every time.
But I'm selfish as hell. I'm a self-indulgent bastard. No, I'm not. I like to help. And that's what. This is where I was actually going to sort of try and go full circle to what you were saying earlier about having sort of a circle and who you trust and who you know, who you want to work with. It's a bit different for us, and that's why it's harder for me to comprehend, because of course we want to try and branch out. We want to try and include as many artists as possible in these interviews, get to know people, find out as much about them as possible. Like Jules and Ashley, Synchronicity, their knowledge, they know everyone's birthdays, their blood types, everything. And we don't want to go that far. But you're right.
Have their antibodies proved that they've had COVID-19? I bet Ashley knows all that shit.
Yeah, she probably does.
Oh God.
That would be odd. That would be a bit weird. Very odd. I'm not sure I like the thought of that. I had one last question for you, but it's blooming gone because we're talking about blooming COVID-19 again. That was it. So my last question to you is, we seem to be seeing a little pandemic of such in the synthwave scene, in that artists are retiring. And then kind of not retiring, and then suddenly 3 weeks later they either reproduce themselves as under a different name, or they suddenly say they're back, couldn't stay away from it. What kind of image do you think that kind of promotes amongst musicians in the scene? Because it just looks very silly from where we're standing. Do you think is it a cry for help? Is it, or do you think people are generally, that sick and tired that, perhaps they put all of their effort and their love and soul into their music, and perhaps it's not getting the plays that they think it deserves? What do you think is the underlying kind of direction of their acts?
Well, in a situation like that, I feel like people are indecisive. There's just some people that are very indecisive of what they want. Sometimes they forget what this was all about, what they wanted to do. I don't know. Everybody has a different situation. Everybody has a different, lifestyle, and that one person might not be able to fulfill what they wanted to do, and they start to feel this whole realization that they're not as progressing as far as they wanted to be, or a combination of other things with their personal lives. That's something that I feel like. If they're posting that, I feel like it's always best to keep those situations to yourself. Anything negative, I believe, should always be kept away from the internet. No one needs to see that. Everybody has their own problems, to be honest. So
I think the world has, maybe not the world, certainly Brits, we have a tendency to remember someone for the last negative thing they did. And do you know what I mean, Rob? We're always a glass half full kind of population,
kind of cynical bunch.
Yeah, exactly.
The problem about that is that there's always a lack of understanding of what really happened, or what really went down in any situation. There's a lack of understanding because no one's ever there. No one really knows, and there's a lack of understanding for any side of a situation like that. And quite honestly, that's the problem about gossip and sort of this negativity on the internet regarding topics like that. There's a lack of understanding in both sides. So
I think you've hit the nail on the head, to be honest there. I mean, there probably actually is no better explanation than put yourself in their shoes, and you might find out that what they're going through, and it's
someone wanted a little validation, or was feeling a bit down, and maybe not deliberately, but where they know when they get a post like, I'm leaving this, no, I've had enough of you. People go, no, they say, oh no, you're great, like keep releasing stuff, I'll be back in 3 weeks with an whole album.
But yeah, I know somebody that had that situation. I took the time to talk to the dude, in a sense. I actually even called him. The thing is that there's this sort of like I said to you before, not everybody has that opportunity, or let me say the luxury of having people around them to conversate regarding topics like this. Or there's always a situation that not everybody can handle by themselves. So
we've all got one. We'll all come across one.
Everybody. Everybody seeks for advice from somebody that has experienced it, or has the sense of experience of such, to explain what they should or should not do. So what I think is that with a music community like this, it can grow and it will continue to grow, but also what needs to not grow is sort of this whole this negativity about like gossip. And gossip, I think, is sort of a poison. It can poison an environment so far beyond a lot of people's understandings of what is considered truth and what's considered not true. So that's something that I feel like people need to get back to what was the original plan and the original reason why everybody came together in the first place. And it wasn't to be causing this whole nonsense over things that are irrelevant to this point. And should really just we're all adults. We're all adults who use the internet. We should really realize where we're coming from and realize what we should not do in that sense, and just move forward, move on, move the hell on, because it's a waste of time, a waste of energy, and you're just wasting life itself, life for yourself and for others that you decide to spread this disease to.
Simply. Be awesome to everyone. That's the message.
And Ted have the answer. Exactly. Oh man, I feel slightly lighter and certainly more peaceful and calm chatting to Jonny.
Yeah, me too. It's
Yeah,
nice.
giving me a sense of like, just take one day as it comes, be in the now, the power of now, and don't sweat the small stuff. Or conversely, sweat the small stuff, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, be in the moment, enjoy it. Oh, dude.
Right, exactly.
Dude.
Feeling super calm.
Well, on that note, I'm afraid we're going to have to end it there. Jonny, thank you so much for joining us on Forever Synth, man. It's really good of you.
And also, it looks like you've had a mortar board at the back of your head, because whatever's the mural in the background. So congratulations on your graduation. Was it a 2-1?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, very impressive.
Got my PhD.
Hope you got a first.
Awesome. Jonny, thanks again, dude.
Take care.
We will speak again soon. Take care,
All
dude.
the best, man. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Take care, man.
Bye.
See ya.